After Thor actor Chris Hemsworth expressed some reluctance in taking on the role for a fifth film, things are looking a little iffy for one of the few Avengers still alive in the MCU. Hemsworth has stated that if he were to return for another feature, his standalone series would require a total redesign. He also stated that if Thor received a fifth picture, it would probably be his final. Fans appear to be convinced that this indicates that the actor didn't share the filmmaker Taika Waititi's vision for Thor: Love and Thunder, which is widely regarded as one of Marvel's Phase 4 weakest films. So, who could potentially replace Thor, and also what actress could take over the reins if Hemsworth ever decides to depart? Could Love replace Thor? Now, Thor has 3 potential replacements in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is wise because his leave from the MCU might occur sooner than anticipated. Actor Chris Hemsworth recently learned that he had a higher genetic risk of developing Alzheimer's disease, and he has subsequently declared his intentions to take a hiatus from performing. That does leave the God of Thunder, a character who has been present in the MCU for more than 10 years, with a questionable future. Now, Thor became a dad at the end of Thor: Love and Thunder. He adopted Love, who was previously Gorr the God Butcher's daughter, demonstrating how far his character has evolved since the first Thor movie. As the movie comes to a close, Love, while seeming like a young child, can be seen fighting with Thor while holding Stormbreaker, showing the character's incredible power potential. Following a disagreement over pancakes, or pan-flaps as Thor refers to them, Love's strength is made apparent. She lashes out with laser energy from her eyes in a fit of rage, and Thor barely dodges the onslaught. Then, soon after, she can be seen reading the Foster Theory, so she also seems to be a bright intellectual. Now, Love may have a youthful appearance, but she is from a different world and might be a teenager or even older, making her more than qualified to succeed Thor. Thor in the MCU might be best replaced by Love. What about Beta Ray Bill? Beta Ray Bill taking over for Thor would undoubtedly be the biggest surprise. One of the first and only other characters who could use Mjolnir made his screen debut in The Mighty Thor in 1983. His name was Beta Ray Bill. In reality, Beta Ray Bill was the first superhero to utilize Stormbreaker, and he and Thor fought together with the 2 renowned weapons. Although he didn't make any appearances in Thor: Love and Thunder, which had the trailer set up his introduction, it's still possible that he may eventually stake out his place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. With the addition of Stormbreaker and Thor's adventures on Sakaar in Thor: Ragnarok, the MCU has effectively set up Beta Ray Bill to make his debut very soon. In the comics, Beta Ray Bill engaged in combat on Sakaar in a manner like that of the Hulk before Thor returned him to Earth. Beta Ray, who is from the alien race known as the Corbinites, is also not from Earth. Now, there is a possibility that Beta Ray Bill might take Thor's place in the future Guardians film. He might easily cross paths with the Guardians in this film. Therefore, it would be appropriate for him to make his acting debut there. And finally, it could very possibly be Jane Foster. Despite Thor: Love and Thunder's conclusion, Jane Foster might still have a role as Thor's replacement in the MCU. After being absent from the MCU after Thor: The Dark World, she made an unexpected homecoming in Thor: Love and Thunder, when Thor and Jane reconciled their differences and also managed to rekindle their relationship. Jane took up the role of the Mighty Thor and fought alongside him. Sadly, the film ended with Jane passing away and departing for Valhalla, where viewers finally got to meet Heimdall again after his own death in Avengers: Infinity War. But in Marvel, demises don't always have to be final. Thus, Jane might still succeed Thor even if she were to pass away. According to one hypothesis, Thor's subsequent MCU appearance may involve him making the ultimate sacrifice in order to bring back Heimdall, Jane, and other characters who have allegedly entered Valhalla, including the Loki from the original timeline. Speaking of Thor, what other actors could potentially take over the iconic role? Now, there is absolutely no denying that one of the most prominent characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is Thor. He has been a key and founding member of the Avengers, as his movie was one of the first to emerge in the MCU, with 2 sequels already released and 1 more on the way. It is possible that Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor, will wish to leave the role shortly, like his friends Captain America and Iron Man might want to do so as well. Now, of course, the first option would naturally be Liam Hemsworth. The Hemsworth family has spawned many celebrities, even if Chris Hemsworth is the most well-known. While Luke Hemsworth stars in Westworld and makes brief appearances in Thor: Ragnarok and Thor: Love and Thunder, Liam Hemsworth is the leading man in films like The Hunger Games. In contrast, Chris Hemsworth told Men's XP that his brother Liam emerged as a prominent contender after being first turned over for the job, creating a nearly entirely different dynamic among the family. Chris Hemsworth also remarked that it would be entertaining to see Liam appear as a multiverse-specific version of a well-known Marvel character. Next up, Alexander Ludwig. Alexander Ludwig portrays Kato in the first Hunger Games. Do you recall the part where Kato and Peeta are preparing for the Hunger Games in this movie? Yes, Katniss claims Peeta has supernatural strength in a passage after observing him throw flour sacks in front of a bakery. Even though this has nothing to do with Ludwig, mentioning that scene is always entertaining. Since the Hunger Games, Ludwig has played several fantastic roles. Vikings is his most well-known piece of work to date. Bjorn Ironside, a renowned Viking chief, is portrayed by Ludwig. Ludwig's performance is most interesting because of the way he portrays a real-life Viking, including his appearance and demeanor. Many believe this would be a very easy role for Ludwig to adapt to, considering he is used to playing a Viking. Another potential replacement, if Hemsworth left the role, Charlie Hunnam. Charlie Hunnam made good progress in the Thor casting before Chris Hemsworth was chosen. He even performed a screen test in which he played the Thunder God. Hunnam has enjoyed long-lasting popularity thanks to Sons of Anarchy, but he has struggled to launch a franchise. He probably made the right decision in declining the role of Christian Grey in 50 Shades of Grey, and his attempt to start a King Arthur movie universe crashed miserably at the box office. Next up, Alexander Skarsgård. Before Chris Hemsworth was even considered for the role of Thor, Alexander Skarsgård was already a fan favorite. Although Skarsgård did attend the auditions, Hemsworth was ultimately picked to assume the role of the God of Thunder. There is little to say about why Skarsgård is the ideal choice for the role. Look at him, please. Skarsgård is the actualized form of Thor. He resembles the character's original Jack Kirby design more than Chris Hemsworth does. Now, some people have argued that Travis Fimmel would be great in that role. We will simply include every single Vikings actor on the list. Ragnar, the protagonist of Vikings, was portrayed by Travis Fimmel for 4 years. Despite only being a few years older than the actor, Fimmel portrays Alexander Ludwig's father in the series. Fimmel is still young enough to play Thor, which is the key point. Fimmel has demonstrated to have a seductively alluring screen presence. Additionally, his performance in Vikings demonstrates his potential to be a multifaceted leading man. In Vikings, Fimmel wields a sword frequently. Just picture him now with a hammer. Thor, boom. Next, Tom Hopper. Thor and Luther Hargreeves, the character played by Tom Hopper in the Umbrella Academy, have a lot in common. They are both tall, attractive blondes with superpowers and genuine dedication to the people they love. Luther actually has a depressive plotline in the Umbrella Academy comics that involves a battle with his weight and has striking similarities to Thor's journey in Avengers Endgame. In order to prevent parallels, the show's creators chose not to include it in the adaptation. Remember Sam Heughan? Well, he could potentially one day take over the role of Thor. That there are males who resemble Sam Heughan is absurd. Why do some beefcakes among us mortal potato people appear like Greek gods? Since the 2014 premiere of Outlander, Heughan has gained popularity with viewers. His portrayal of Jamie Fraser is practically the living embodiment of every romance novel's cover. Fraser is a perfect dude. He is firm but understanding, stout but soft. Come on, Heughan is amazing. Each time he appears in an Outlander episode, he fires a huge musket. Picture this, Brad Pitt as Thor. Okay, so this one's a little crazy. Pitt is an American actor who is one of Hollywood's biggest stars and is getting older. Pitt, though, is more than capable of leading a franchise and has previously taken on the attractive blonde legendary role. Excelling in his role as Achilles in Troy, Pitt would have been the ideal Thor in a parallel reality where the MCU was established years earlier. Next up, what about Channing Tatum? Thor and Steve Rogers were both roles that Channing Tatum was considered for. He was never selected for either of these roles, though. Tatum has established himself in numerous action films over the years, but he still needs to play a superhero. But even though plans for the Fox world fell through, many fans still believe Tatum would make a great Gambit in the MCU. Last but not least, Eric Dane. Old Man Thor is ancient, but he is still Thor. Apart from his gray beard, the character's appearance in the comics doesn't indicate his age because he is still extremely ripped. Eric Dane's portrayal of Carl Jacobs in Euphoria demonstrated his ability to pull off the Silver Fox look. Dane has demonstrated his enthusiasm for superhero flicks by taking on the role of Multiple Man in X-Men The Last Stand. Unfortunately, guys, that is all the time we have for today. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and as always, thanks for watching.